Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast, a hybrid structure encompassing health, fitness, self-improvement, and entertainment, where no topic is off limits and all opinions are graciously welcomed.
Let's get on with the show!
And now, here's the host of the show, Mike Sinopoli.
Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast. I am Mike Sinopoli, certified nutrition coach, consultant, counselor. Call me whatever you would like. On this episode, we're going to go in a little different direction like we like to do here. We're going to discuss bullying. We're going to discuss cyberbullying and bullying in schools. And to do so, I wanted to bring a teacher on the show. He's been here 3 times. He's making his three-peat here. And his name's Sean Henaghan. Last time we discussed guns, and the time before that, we did sobriety. Okay, so welcome back, Sean, and thanks for being here, man.
What is going on, man? I'm starting to think maybe we should rename the show. We should just add my initials to it, and it'll be our show now.
You want to be on the show? Okay, fine. When you get the mic and all the setup, we'll do that. We'll do it in the same one. We'll do a video too, so we can be in front of each other. We'll get
Nobody wants to see us. Nobody wants to see.
We're not the cutest, but it's okay. I think you're adorable. It's fine though. But anyways, we do have a serious topic to talk about here, and that's bullying. And we're going to kind of throw it in 2 different directions: where are people bullied the most and what demographic. A lot of times when you think about bullying, it's directed towards kids and teens. And that is actually pretty much where most of it does go on, but it does continue on throughout adulthood. So we're going to focus mostly on kids. Sean and I are both parents, Sean being a teacher. But we have kids that are just about hitting that age that where bullying does start occurring, ages 9 to 12. So before we get there, I want to start, Sean, what's the ages of the kids that you teach, and what type of bullying do you see and your colleagues see at schools?
Yeah, man. So I do pre-K through 8th grade, and I'm the PE teacher, so I see all of them. And it is literally brought up every single day, whether it is people picking on each other for not being as athletic as other people, people picking on each other for their looks, all the way down to what they're wearing. These kids wear uniforms to not get bullied, and then get bullied for their uniforms. Maybe their shirt has a hole, maybe their pants are too big, anything like that. They will get bullied for literally anything. And all of that, I don't see it, but all of that seems to be dwarfed by the bullying that goes on online. Cyberbullying.
Yes, I think cyberbullying has become the place. I feel like bullies themselves will bully more being behind the screen. They're less of a risk for any sort of retaliation right there. And it's scary because there's no end in sight. A lot of times that kids that did get bullied at school, they would be able to go home. And if they had a good home life, they were able to escape that for a little while and maybe be in a place of peace. Now with the tablets and the phones and everything else, there's like unlimited access to everything. So do you have any did they do anything for you as a teacher? Did they do any like discussion or training on cyberbullying for you?
We do training at the beginning of the year on all like different kinds of bullying and stuff. But I mean, just like every other job, dude, the training that you do is bullshit. You know what I mean? It gets put into place. They're like, oh, you got to be aware of the signs of bullying. You got to be aware and let parents know that the kids are bullying and let people know that they're being bullied. Parenting at home. Look at just what's going on in Chicago right now. You got all these teens downtown. Where are their parents? So you can contact parents till you're blue in the face. If the kid's bullying, it shit might not change. You know what I mean? Like I've called home and said, hey, your kid is making fun of another kid nonstop every single day until it's a fight, and it goes nowhere.
Oh yeah.
It's just bullying is one of those things. It's borderline impossible to stop. You can tell people every day, like, hey, quit being an asshole, quit being mean. But like, it's not just schools, it's real life, it's everywhere. You know what I mean? It's something that's really, really difficult to stop. Doesn't matter what kind of training you have, because it's not a physical thing. If it was physical bullying, I can stop that, where somebody's just pushing somebody into a locker or some shit like that every day. Like, we could put an end to that. But as far as like verbal or cyberbullying, give me all the training in the world. I can't do shit. I can't stop it.
So let me ask you a question, because this kind of reminds me of a tweet you shared. And you'd mentioned it was a tweet, and these were kind of being circulated for a while. It was a kid, literally physically, I believe it was a boy beating up a girl on a bus.
Yeah.
You remember this? You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I believe you'd said in there that you, like, legally or by policy, you cannot do anything in that instance. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I will, while throughout the conversation here, I'll try to find the exact email from my principal.
Sure.
But we were told pretty specifically, it was like, unless you have been trained, and then they give the names of like the 3 people who've been trained to like physically restrain. CPS policy prevents you from breaking up fights, and CPS policy, you're supposed to not do anything. You also see all these videos with the new Twitter. If you're following the For You page, or the I think that's what it is.
Oh, like that is toxic. It's awful.
Insane. It's insane.
I was on Twitter. I try to avoid Twitter, just so you guys know, because I think Twitter, and I'm going to have some actual data here that actually refutes what I'm saying, but I've always found that Twitter was the biggest platform for bullying, call out culture, whatever you call it, just ripping each other back and forth with these quick-witted little 240 character things. And I backed at first Elon Musk taking this thing over, and I really did. But now that I'm seeing what's happening here, I don't know if I do, because since he's taken over Twitter, I've seen a few things I don't care for. First of all, these blue check marks that people have to pay for now is ridiculous. I don't understand that. What that literally devalues the blue check mark. I can go on, have 3 followers, and say, yeah, here's $8 a month, Elon, and now I can do this. And now what you're saying for this For You section, and this is, I don't know how they do this. Everything, I was like, why is my feed all this crap that I don't follow? And it's literally divisive political shit. And I'm like, oh, okay, so there's a For You and a following. So mine was defaulting to that. And I'm like, why did this happen? And it must have been another change made by the new CEO of Twitter.
It's crazy. They're like, you go to that For You page, I could scroll it for 5 seconds. I'll see a fight. I'll see somebody getting hit by a car. And it's like, well, how the fuck is this for me? Like, yeah, sure, yeah. I watch because I'm insane. But it's also like, this isn't for me. I didn't need to see a guy get beheaded.
It's not for you. It's what they want you to see. Right. There's probably this AI, and I'm going to get into AI later, but this AI, these algorithms, they're literally conditioned, and they're programmed to show you what probably will trigger you. What is generating the most that'll upset you is what I think they will do. And what is upsetting somebody do? It causes a reaction. It's going to cause a reaction that's going to cause online bullying. Because that's really what that's all it is in Twitter, is when people are getting to arguments these days, there's not a lot of grace with these things. There's not a lot of debate and discussion and friendly ones, but it's literally adult bullying left and right. And when you limit it, and now I get with the blue check mark, you can tweet longer, but with these 240 character limits and this restriction, the less you can say, the more concise it is, which means it's going to be perceived differently. You can't say as much, so you have less to say, so you can't get your point across as strong as you can on some other platforms, in my opinion. And I think that's we're reactive, and we're just how we are as a society. So,
and I think that's where I saw that kid, the girl getting her ass kicked by the boy on a bus. I think that's where I saw it. Was my For You page. So I don't know how, like you said, I don't know where that comes into being for me. But it got us to the point where I told you, I couldn't do anything. I can't find my tweet, but I did find the email from my principal. Okay. And it says, team, this is a very important announcement. The only persons trained in our building at this point are, and then gives 2 security guards. Should an incident occur, please call for security. So attached is like a memo from the people I work for. And it just says, that basically, to be training and de-escalation and physical management must be completed in person. School staff members who have not completed developmentally appropriate training must not engage in physical restraint of a student or the supervision of a student in a timeout. So, like, once it came through in writing, like, I used to really, like, break up fights, man. I'd be in it. Like, if I see a fight, because I've known these kids now at my school for 5 years. Some of them, like, if you're in 8th grade, I've known you since 4th grade, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. You know what I mean? Right. Like, I've known you since you were 12 years old, 11 years old. So I can't, like, logically, I can't watch you sit here and get punched in the face. So I'm jumping in, breaking up fights, this and that, until now it's in writing, basically saying, hey, you can't do this. I have a 3-floor school. My building is 3 floors big. It's 400 kids. We have two people that are trained in that could break it up. Two. Yeah. So if there's a fight on each floor, now what do? We just let them go. Like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane, man. And this is how you end up getting situations like that. And you watch, like I say, you watch this For You page, and there's a bunch of nonsense. You'll see fights in classrooms on that page, and you'll see the teacher literally just saying, like, hey, stop, call security, stop. And, like, in my eyes, it's like, dude, this is crazy. This guy's watching these two kids beat the shit out of each other. But by policy, he's doing the right thing. He or she is doing the right thing by just sitting there and saying, okay, stop. That's like what you're supposed to do. The last fight I broke up, we had one teacher, a woman, on the ground holding down a kid. I run into the fight to now pull off these kids off this teacher. This teacher had to be 55 years old. 55, 60 years, like, and I'm trying to break up this fight, like pulling kids off, while the principal is outside of the circle just yelling, all right, hey, you guys stop this right now. Stop. You're watching your colleague, but in his head, he's seeing, hey, this is my livelihood. This is my life. I'm not going to let 12-year-olds take away my government job. So it's like, I got to get in that mindset, I guess, but it's crazy.
Yeah, it's either, you got to do morally what you believe is correct, or you have to do, I guess, fiscally or responsible for your family and keep your gig. Yeah, it's kind of sad that that's the way it is, but I don't really understand that. I think that any sort of physical altercations in schools, especially grade schools, should be broken up immediately. There should be no waiting around and standing around and any of that, and then those things just escalate. And what happens when it escalates so much that somebody has a weapon and they slit somebody's throat? You know what I'm saying? Like,
we weren't doing nothing. So I'm in the gym. If it breaks off into like more than a one-on-one fight where like I could walk through the middle of it and try to do that and just say, okay, stop. If it gets to be like 6 people, now I'm just running a fight club in my gym. You know what I mean? It just gets to be madness. It's nonsense. I can't do anything about it. I'm not supposed to do anything about it.
Pure nonsense. And we're going to keep going with the whole bullying thing, and then in the schools. But as far as cyberbullying goes, I did want to read off some statistics. This thing is a virus in itself. It's pretty gross. So there's this website I found here, broadbandsearch.com, that has some statistics listed here related to cyberbullying. And this is issues kids feel result from cyberbullying. So here's what happens in the percentages with the data they've collected here. From kids who have been cyberbullied. So for kids that have been cyberbullied, 9% begin using alcohol or drugs, 14% develop an eating disorder, 20% start skipping school, 24% stop using social media altogether, 25% engage in self-harm, 26% delete their social media profiles. I know it's over 100%, but this is probably aggregate of them doing multiples. 26% had suicidal thoughts. 37% develop depression and 41% develop social anxiety. So as you can see, the two highest percentages of the results of cyberbullying are two of the most common and downright terrible mental illnesses of depression and anxiety. So no surprise there, really. So do you guys have in schools anything to do anything with depression, anxiety for kids? Do they do anything for that on site?
Yeah, we have 2 counselors. They're the best. We have 2 counselors. Kids are allowed to go to them whenever they want. We have kids who steady go to the counselor. But then, just like everything else, it becomes an issue where now are they just going to the counselor to waste some time? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
no,
right.
But it's a thing. I'm glad about it to where it's not like, hey, we're wasting some time, but like maybe they are getting out of that situation that they're in. Maybe it looks like they're wasting time when they come down to the counselor and they just don't want to talk about it. But I don't know. That's another thing. Like, you can't not take it serious. If they want to say, hey, I need to go see the counselor, you can't say, you already went today. Like, so what? Like, go. If you got to go.
Right.
Like,
right.
So, but kids are smart. Like, kids take advantage of it just like everything else. But Yeah, we do have two counselors on site, so that's good. We've got a social worker. So yeah, we got people there to kind of help with that kind of stuff. Look into cyberbullying situation. We have enough kids kind of on, I guess you could say, like on our side, who will show us things. Like they'll show us they'll screenshot Instagram DMs, they'll screenshot this stuff. I myself, they invited me to a chat that I was on for a while that I did not accept, but with Instagram, you're able to like see the DMs or whatever. Like I could see the conversation going without being part of it. And it was brutal, man. You'd see videos of fights, and then like even the person who won, it'd be like, well, that person's a bitch. That's why they beat him up, blah, blah, blah. Like it never stops. Like if somebody wins a fight, they get made fun of for how they were fighting or whatever. Sure. You know what I mean? It's just constant.
It's unbelievable. And to play off something you said a little bit there was like, you go to take the kids to the counselors. You got to, is it really something that you need to go for? You got to let them go. You have to. And, that's where I wanted to go with another thing is like, are people actually being bullied, or are they perceiving themselves being bullied? I think that most of the time they're legitimately getting bullied. And I'm of the belief that I would rather coddle a bunch of people who aren't getting bullied and let them take whatever they need to do and go to the counselor or take a day off, a mental health day, than leave a student who is actually truly being brutally bullied and shrug that student off and say, you're fine, get out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I would rather coddle the people who may be abusing it a little bit and than leave one person out. It's kind of like the whole thing. You don't want to send a not guilty person to the electric chair. You want to, you know what I'm saying? So you want to make sure you don't destroy somebody by ignoring their issue. So I hear what you're saying on that.
When you look up bullying, like you look up exact bullying, like the Oxford dictionary or whatever says the exact meaning of bullying is to frighten or hurt a weaker person. So then you get into technicalities being like, well, they made fun of my shoes. Well, that's not frightening or hurting them, but it's just being an ass.
You know what's ironic about that definition? It more often than not, like 99.5% of the time, the weak person is the one doing the bullying. That's the weak person. That's the abused person, essentially. That's the person that is the weaker one, because it takes a weaker person to do the bullying. What do you think about that? That's what I've always thought. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, it's someone's picking on a weaker person. I think deep down, when you take it up, what's at face level, like maybe he's stronger and there's a smaller kid, a wimpier kid, but I think the kid that's got to do the bullying is doing it for something, an insecurity within themselves, to boost themselves up, make themselves look good, and make themselves feel better, and put somebody else down at their expense so that they project that insecurity up onto them.
And that's always been the thing, right?
Yeah.
That's always been what they say is like, oh, a bully is just a weak person who somebody needs to stand up to the big bad bully because they have stuff going on their inside and it makes them feel better to put other people down and that kind of shit, right? But yeah, I mean, when you look, I agree. I'm sure something is going on with that person to where they find it a positive thing, though, to where they feel better about making somebody else feel like shit. But it's, ultimately it's a vicious circle, right? Because then that person can be a bully, and then somebody says, well, stand up to that person. Well, how? Hit them? Yell at them? You bully them? You know what I mean? Would you just going to stand up and say, hey, you stop? And then they say, fuck you. Now what? Now you're in an altercation with this person. Like now it's a whole thing with them.
Bullying, you can't bully a bully, because that's not going to stop them from being bullies.
Never. No.
It never will. It's kind of like arguing. It's like arguing. We've been there. We've all been there. We argue. What gets done arguing? Nothing ever happens. I'm reading a really good book, and I've had it for a while. Have you ever read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie? It's one of like the most. It's written a long time ago, and man, this guy is just it puts life in a perspective. I won't get too into that book right now at all, really, but that's one to pick up. It's how to talk to people, and it just shows so many good examples of how argue. And I've used this for myself because I was an arguer before. That I used to argue all the time. If my thoughts were right, I would go that route, and that's fine. And I still do that sometimes because I'm not a perfect person. But I've learned that diffusing a situation like that, it doesn't. Arguing and doing more back and being mean and vicious and nasty is not the way to end it. It just won't do it. It just fuels it more, in my opinion. So,
Yeah.
so then to give you some statistics, this is from the same site I just said, just so you know how rampant cyberbullying is. According to this page, 60% of teenagers say they have experienced some sort of cyberbullying. 70% of teenagers have reported someone spreading rumors about them through the internet. 87% of young people have seen cyberbullying occur online, and 95% of teenagers are connected to the internet, and 85% of them are using social media. So we know that social media is probably where this is all happening.
Just like we said in the last episode that we talked about with guns, like social media is a fucking poison, man. Social media is something, especially for kids. There's no chance 14-year-olds should be able to post a picture of themselves and hope everybody says a bunch of positive shit about it. It's not going to happen. And the majority of the fights a lot of the fights at my school that do happen is because of social media. Whatever it might be. It might be like, this boy liked this girl's picture and that's fucking bullshit, or this person said this about me on social media. They didn't invite me to this on social media. Like it's always the root of it is always, oh, they said this on Snap. They said this on Facebook. They said this on IG. It's like, dude, get off that shit. If this is your biggest issue, get off it. Talk in person.
Right. And one of the biggest things is what you're referring to sort of too, and there is mob mentality. Right. Mob mentality is huge. So like what happens in schools is that, a clique will get together and maybe bully one kid. So those kids can only physically be together for so much time. Those kids can create a storm on threads on social media and literally attack someone's social media all together at once, all the time. Yeah. All the fucking time. We're always got that piece of shit in our fucking hands. And you know what, man? I'm going to even play a little devil's advocate here because I think social media is a good thing. We're going to promote this podcast through that. I've been able to help well over 100 clients because of social media. We became better friends because of social media. It's what we allow to happen. You know what I'm saying? It's us. We can block people. We can mute words. We can filter our content. We need to take better care of ourselves. It's kind of like the gun thing. The gun is the internet, Instagram and Twitter aren't doing this to people. We're doing it through it. We don't take the gun doesn't walk up and shoot somebody in the face. We pick up the gun, we shoot somebody with it. So it's similar to that. But I get where you're saying there is a double-edged sword to this. And that's kind of where we went talking about like when you just dismantle freedoms in order to stop things like this. You're going to shut down social media? Are you going to tell people are you going to record people on a device? They have to wear a mask and a face thing so that all their words are recorded. And if you say something, you go to jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you going to stop it? It's impossible.
It is impossible. And it's kind of like one of the things that we've said over and over, like with social media, Facebook was invented for college kids, right? And it was just college kids to connect and all of that. And then they opened it up to everybody. And the idea behind it was great. The idea of like, hey, if you have family in Florida and you're in Chicago, it's an easy connect. You can keep track of your family. You can see their photos. You could do this. You could do that. Excellent. Then people found the shitty way around it. People found the way to be like, hey, you know what? I could use this for this platform. I could use this for this. I could use this for this. To where it did become a negative. You know what I'm saying? Shutting it down isn't the answer. Because you shut it down, there's a lot of, we listen to a lot of bands. We find bands via social media. Like you said, you're promoting your podcast via social media. Like, it is such a positive thing as well as such a negative. It's insane. I don't know the answer. Talking about it is almost like me and you have gotten into brutal arguments about politics. Very serious arguments over politics. So then it becomes, well, what do you take seriously? It's just us yelling at each other back and forth. We don't go anywhere with it. It's just an argument. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely.
If I decided to take that shit personally and be like, well, he's being mean to me, blah, 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 now it's a problem. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, that's what happens in these forums is that people will, you come up, state an opinion about something. What you can tell when it gets nasty is when people resort to physical, shitty ass personal appearance opinions or anything like that. Like they start attacking you as an individual, not about what's at hand. So like Sean was saying, He's on one side of this political spectrum. I'm a guess on the other. I'll be honest with everybody right now listening. If you really want my truest, most up-to-date opinion on politics here in the United States, I don't want to be a part of it. And I just don't care because I just see it above it all right now. And I think, Sean, you might a little bit yourself be in that a little bit, maybe seeing what's going on here. These two sides are not fucking, they're not, they're friends. We're all dividing against each other against these issues, and they're just taking our money and fucking us over.
You want to go one step further, you could say that the regular civilians, you want to talk about bullying, I think we're being bullied by the government.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, you think you think we're being bullied by the government?
Like we are being bullied by the government. You're being told, hey, you're going to do this. You're going to do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. If you're with us, you have to do this. If you're with us, you have to do this. You know what I mean? Like,
we live in Illinois, a place where they will tell you that if you don't pay me $10,000 a year for your property, we're going to kick you off of it. And you're going to go out and live on the fucking streets. Oh, you went to work today? You went to work. We've normalized taxation so heavily. It's sick. All those protests that happen on these issues, I'm not going to argue about what's important and what's not. You take the George Floyd thing that happened a few years ago. All those people took to the streets. Whatever. You got the right to do that. Go ahead and do it. But what I think we should do is all get together and fucking protest the amount of tax that these fucking people are taking from us all the time. It's so normalized. Well, just the way it is. No, fuck you. They're bullying us, just like you said. And I don't care if you're a Democrat, a Republican, a Libertarian, Independent, a Green Party. I don't care who you want to identify with. Identity politics is part of all this shit. Each one will bully the other one for something else. And I think it's toxic, and I think it's what's destroying everybody. When politicians found out that they could use social media platforms as a fucking loud ass megaphone towards all these pliable minds, they fucking found the recipe for fucking disaster here. And I think that's exactly what's going on. And when you start seeing the rates of abuse of people to themselves and mental health cases, this is all part of it. And bullying goes along with it. Not only are you getting bullied by the government and these media outlets, but like you said, it's happening amongst peers as well. And we're tearing each other apart at their fucking, they're laughing down at us. I don't give a fuck. They don't care if they're not physically, they don't give a shit. They don't fix any of the issues either. So not to go on a total political tangent right there, but that's what the fuck is going on when you just take yourself out, zoom out really high and look at it for a little while. Take your biases away. I had to do it because I'm a right-wing person. I don't care if you don't like me for it. Sean's more of a left-wing person. We were probably farther away on this political spectrum when you get yourself all into it. But when you fucking take yourself out of it, and you start fucking seeing things for what they are, you realize that the enemy is right there in front of you, just with the puppet strings doing their thing.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly just makes no sense. And we could argue back and forth. We argue back and forth about it a lot. And what did we ever solve from it? You know,
nothing. I've realized that you are a good person, a better friend, and that we've never been better friends than we are at this moment.
100%.
And that's what I say. And I said to myself, you know what? Sean can have his views on whatever he wants. I actually have softened mine on everything because I just don't care anymore. So have your views. But I said, you know what? This political piece, this political issue is not worth sacrificing my friendship with somebody like Sean or other people too. Now, granted, people are human beings are what they are. If it's just strictly politics, I strongly suggest you do not sever a relationship just through politics. This people are different if they have a different sort of way about them and you need to disconnect for your own health, different story. But I think that's the way it is. And I don't think that was doing anybody favors for anybody constantly arguing. And we will have a friendly argument or chat about it now, but it's a way more professional, way more just easygoing, I think, too.
Because I think we both realized, and somehow this is politics now, but I think we both realized that we're closer to the center than we are, like, you're right wing, like you said. You're not one of these fucking maniacs on January, like crashing and throwing shit through the Capitol windows and stuff. You know what I mean?
I'm the kind of guy. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm actually the kind of guy that thinks that's a staged event. Because a guy dressed up like a patriotic Viking doesn't get into the most heavily guarded government buildings in the United States unless they want them in there. That is what it is. That is what is going on. If they don't want you in there, you will not get in there. They are that powerful. They will track your taxes down to the dime. And you mean to tell me that a bunch of patriotic, hillbilly, Confederate flag waving, toothless idiots got into the fucking Capitol building? No. The minute I saw that, bullshit. You know what? We're going to go way too far here.
That's bullying. That's
All right.
bullying. So
anyways,
we were talking about cyberbullying. One thing, like, and for any teacher who hears this shit, like, one video that I show all my kids every year from fifth through eighth, and like at this point they're like annoyed with me that we still watch it, but I'm like, I don't care. Like I want to try to pound this into your head that this is so serious. But it's called Cyberbully. It's available on Amazon Prime Video. I was watching it on YouTube for a while. It came out in 2011, but it's a story of a girl who some shit comes out and they end up plastering stuff all over. They bully the shit out of her. I'm not going to ruin it, but they bully the shit out of her online, and it turns into a whole thing to where the whole school is bullying her online. And it just shows, kind of like you said, the mob mentality. The whole school, suddenly something came out on her. They cyberbully her. A video goes all over the place, and now the whole school is against her.
And what happens there is another key aspect to bullying. It's fear. It's feared that if you don't go along with the bully, you will become bullied yourself. Therefore, they all just go, okay, well, I don't want that to be me, so I'm going to stay on the side of these assholes. And it takes a huge person to go ahead and stand up against that shit, and they likely will get bullied themselves for doing so.
Yeah, you just got to be somebody, like you said. It takes a huge person, because they're going into it knowing, like, all right, they're going to make fun of me too, but here we go. I have to stand up for this person, because in some of these events of cyberbullying, now, thank God I don't know anybody that this has happened to, but I mean, it's fact that people have killed themselves over it. And
yes.
And when it gets even crazier is you have parents cyberbullying the kids. They'll sign on and make a whole account pretending to be a kid, and now they're coming at that kid too. You know what I mean?
Yes. And a kid with parents doing that is doomed to ever rehabilitate themselves. They're probably going to either have to have some crazy self-awareness come about them through some sort of cognitive therapy as they get older, or they're going to be fucked, because if with that type of parenting, you're screwed. And I do have a story for you that I read in a book that I'm going to tell you later on to kind of build off that, something like that. But I was in the middle of trying to say something about cyberbullying.
Right.
No, not you. I went off on the tangent.
Yeah, no. We're good.
But anyways, I have some more statistics from that same site I was trying to get to here. And students were asked, they were polled, and you know how polls are. We're going to take these numbers with a grain of salt, but I think it makes sense. What social media platforms did they experience being cyberbullied? Now, this actually shocked me, because I told you earlier in the show that I thought Twitter was the most toxic form of social media.
I could have told you, just from being a teacher, that there's no way. Like, okay. Looking at what you're seeing, the same thing where people cyberbully. That's the stats where it's like,
yeah,
Twitter.
I'm going to read those off. Off here. So
I'll
read them off since we're looking at them, so that anyone listening can hear these too. So here's the results after they platform kids and said, where are you being cyberbullied? Mainly in online. 9% said Twitter. Okay, that's the lowest. 10% YouTube, 12% on WhatsApp, 31% on Snapchat, 37% on Facebook, and the leading is Instagram at 42%. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go right into it before you comment really quick, just so I get it all in one snapshot here. The main reason people get cyberbullied, okay? So 11% religion, 15% financial status, 15% sexuality, 17% race, 20% other, 25% academic achievement or intelligence, and the clear-cut winner, the clear-cut reason people get cyberbullied at 61%, appearance. So that makes sense, because Instagram being the highest of the bullying of the social media apps, and the highest reasoning is appearance. What do we get on social media? On Instagram mostly, it's pictures. You have to put a picture. You can't just say your words. You got to show something. So you show yourself on Instagram. It's probably the most vanity related social media platform that we got, and that's the leader. So what do you think about that, Sean?
I accurate. Honestly, when you look at it, the only thing I would say is Snapchat probably higher than Facebook. I could have told you Twitter at the bottom. I would honestly probably put YouTube lower than that and WhatsApp lower than that. Kids don't fuck with that shit, man. They're not wasting their time on Twitter. Like the kids, especially in school and stuff, they're using their Twitters at this point to promote themselves. They're not using it to bully each other. Instagram, Snapchat, That's where the real issues are coming because and Facebook. They're everybody is on it. Twitter, you don't have many people on it. Not everybody will have one of those. Every one of these fucking students will have Snapchat, Facebook, or Instagram. That's why those numbers are higher. That's about
true.
what I expected.
And I'm probably getting a little bit more not confused, but like intertwining how people interact. And these are more adults that are on Twitter.
You're looking at our
like
age too. You're looking like
yes.
We're more on Twitter, I think. Like kids aren't. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, I look at this stuff. There's no fucking doubt. Then you look at the other one, religion. Kids don't fucking care. Financial status. You got to figure if they're in a school together. For the most part, you're not going to have somebody making $300,000 a year and a household making 80 grand a year. For the most part, financial status is going to be pretty close. Sexuality is low because nobody cares anymore. Fuck whoever you want, do whatever you want. And especially in like middle school where I'm at, like I'm at the pre-K through 8th grade. That's when you do a lot of experimenting and shit. Nobody's going to make fun of those kids. Race, nobody cares. Other, that's a big, like, yeah, people hate the other. Academic, it's been going on since we were kids where you call people stupid. That's obvious. But appearance, obvious number one. Obvious with kids. If you think back to when you were in school, we were in school, if somebody's getting made fun of, you're not being like, oh, you fucking Catholic piece of shit. You know what I mean? It'd be like, you ugly motherfucker. That's what it is. You know what I mean?
Right. I went to Catholic school, so it was like impossible to really bully anyone.
Right.
You know,
I wasn't going to go with Jewish because, you know, I mean, or some other kind of race or religion or something like that.
Right.
They're going to make fun. But yeah, it's all nonsense. Like religion, nobody cares. Worship whoever the fuck you want. Appearance is where it is, man. And that's the shit I see at my school too. If you see it, is somebody will make fun of their shoes. Somebody will make fun of, like I say, your shirt has a hole in it. They'll make fun of their hair. They'll make fun of anything they can. They'll make fun of it. Appearance.
That's the first thing too. And like, you'll notice it. And I've been bullied online too. I mean, we still deal with it as adults. And that's what I was kind of saying before. The going right into somebody's physical appearance to me is the lowest of the low. It's actually just a shitty reflection on somebody. So it's such a terrible way to go about it. It takes anything away. There's no point to it. It's literally just projecting somebody's insecurity, like I said before, onto somebody. And, you know, they'll find anything. It's easy. That's why, because it's the easiest thing to bully. It's simple. Like, I'll get in an argument with somebody or whatever, a disagreement, I should say, on something on social media. They'll look at my page and say, "Oh, you bald fuck," or something like that. I'm like, dude, I shaved my head, and it's like, but whatever. Even I was like, okay, great, I'm bald. I don't care. Like, you're not hurting me. Like, but what does it make? What is it? Why do you have to go to my page to look at me and tell me I'm on steroids? Tell me I have no hair, whatever the hell it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't do that. And the same thing goes with, you know, people who are obese or have a big nose or have something misshaped on themselves. This is the kind of stuff. And then this kind of ties in to this body dysmorphia, body image thing that will go to that whole fitness and health thing that I get into. You know, people go ahead.
You talk about you say like bullying as far as appearance is pointless, and it's so is bullying over money. So is bullying over religion. So is bullying over how many friends they have. All of it is pointless. All you're doing is ultimately all you're doing is being an asshole. That's literally all it is to it. Is if you decide to be a bully, you're just being an asshole. What's the logic? What's the reason behind being an asshole? And that's what we talked about, to where it's like there has to be something not necessarily wrong with that person, but they have some sort of self-loathing themselves to where they want to bring people down with them, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm looking here. I went to our friends over at the CDC because I still do believe they have some credible information on their site. But, you know, what are the leading cause of death for teenagers? Again, you know, what is this, though? You know, I'm not going to read this because this chart that's on the CDC's site, this is where I get a little weird with this fucking government agency. Causes of death, they give me 1999 to 2006. Like, what where are the rest of the stats?
About the last 16 years.
What happened? There's a lot. And 2006 was just the budding of this social media thing. We were all on MySpace on our desktops at that point.
Exactly.
So I'm not going to even fucking read this because it doesn't fucking correlate here unless I could find another one that they have updated. But I don't know why. That's the first one that comes up under Google. So I'm not going to go ahead and do that. But I do know for a fact that these rates of drug use and suicide have been piling on in relation to these kinds of things. And, I don't know. They're not all the same causes. Every single person is an individual, and they have their reasoning for what their mental health issues are and where their trauma comes from, whether it's family related, whether it's bullying related. That's kind of where this thing gets really ugly. And that is where I'm going to bring up this real quick story. I read this book called The Narcissist You Know. And one of the stories they brought in there, it really actually bothered me a lot. It was it happened 10 years ago. A girl named Rebecca Sedgwick. She was 12 years old. Two other girls, a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old, Caitlin Roman and Guadalupe Shaw. They spent months upon months harassing this girl, telling her to drink bleach, telling her to kill herself, telling her all kinds of negative things about her. So one day, September 9th, 2013, Rebecca Sedgwick climbs up to the height of a tower and at the behest of these bullies jumps off, and she died. And it was really bad. And, it stemmed from the parents. They analyzed the parents of Guadalupe Shaw, how they were not very good people, narcissistic, and treated Guadalupe terribly. Like, she was shamed at home. She wasn't treated well. So where I'm going with that is not to place any blame, but it all kind of starts at home, in my opinion. And this story did too. And this story started with one family's lineage, and you could break that generally curse if you want. That's probably a good thing to do, and not carry that on. That's just the best thing to do. But that what you see is the trickle effect of two parents, totally unrelated to some girl, affecting their child, who took that trauma and passed it on to her, that sent her up a tower to jump off and end her life. And what you can do, and what I think you can do, I'm not a professional on this stuff. Obviously, I don't claim to be, but stopping generational curses and generational traumas is something I've read a lot about. I've talked to therapists myself about. And that is something, not that I have any in my family, I'm blessed, but I'm just saying in general that's something that really does keep trickling down this sort of thing. And I think that's where you start with bullying, because like you said, Sean, in the beginning of this, you can yell till you're blue in the face at these bullies, and you can yell and scream and make rules, and you can say no and say you're bad, you're this, you're that. You can give them the consequences and tell them what they're doing, and it's not going to happen. So right. I guess for me, and that goes for a lot of these issues, back to the guns, back to things. I'm not saying it's the only thing, but it's a major part, is to just learn how to break a generational curse when you can gain that self-awareness. So to kind of go off that, that's where I think it should start, at home. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, that's everything, man. Like I've said before, like I work on the west side of Chicago. Like if anybody's listened, I've said it before. Like you work on the west side of Chicago. Now, the west side of Chicago does not have the same opportunities as Naperville or something like that. You know what I mean? Like in a affluent area, you're not going to have the same opportunities. But I know that there's been kids from the west side of Chicago that go on to college, they go on to be doctors, they go on to be lawyers, whatever they want to be. And it's because of what they're getting at home, their home life. And I've said it about any school. Parents can look into schools, this and that, and be like, I want to make sure I live in the best school district. I work in this, blah, blah, blah. Every school that you work in can be a great school. It's not on the teachers. It's on what's happening at home. If you're not helping them from home, it's the work that you put in with your kids is what you're going to get into school. Teachers, we can give you so much. We give you, here's how to do this stuff. Here's work to do at home. Here's this. Now go home, put in that work. If they go home and just say fuck off or don't bring anything home and parents aren't working with them at home or that shit, your education's dog shit. It doesn't matter. We're helping you to get to here. Then your family at home helps you get to the next level. You know what I mean? So it absolutely starts at home.
Man, you are 100% on point right there. And I can relate that to two other things myself. So kind of what I do with nutrition coaching, right? Or training and all that, you can learn. You go to a facility to learn. School, you go there to learn. You take on a coach, a trainer to learn something. And you need to apply that and do something with it. Your teacher can give you the tools to go. They give you the tools. They give you the what to do. you have to go and then make something and do it. That's the freedom of it all. You can't blame your teachers. You can't even really blame your parents sometimes, but it does start at home, like you said. And same thing with wealth. You go to school, you can't just go to school, get a bunch of degrees and sit there and say, okay, I deserve this now. No, right. You got to get out there and apply what you learned at those universities and continue on yourself. Education doesn't end at 18. Education doesn't end at 22 at the bachelor's level. Education doesn't end at 26, 27 at the master's level or whenever you graduate. You got to keep going with it and you got to do something with it. And that's exactly right. But you're right with the opportunity thing. And the home thing it's perfect. It's exactly what it is. It's just those home lives, they have to get that urge to go. They have to be able to want to do it themselves. And that's really where it comes down to, right?
Yeah. And I mean, you want to talk about schools, man. The other thing that sucks at school is it's just society in general. Like, ultimately, it's not, I don't know how to say it without sounding, I don't know, but it's not cool to be nice. You know what I mean? It's just society doesn't have it. It's not awesome that so I tried pushing for a while, let's make our school the nicest school in the city. I said, let's just all be nice to each other. Let's do community projects. Let's do X. Let's do Y. One of the ideas I said that I wanted to implement in our school is something. I love this idea. I've seen it at other places. I found it somewhere, but it's called a buddy bench. You ever hear this idea?
A buddy bench?
Yeah.
No, I have not heard of that. What is that?
I actually love it. A buddy bench is an idea where, so if you're out on a playground, if you're at school or whatever, and let's say you have nobody to play with, you paint one bench, paint one of your benches outside, paint it a specific color, like blue or whatever. And if I don't have somebody to play with, instead of just moping around being by myself, you sit on that bench and you're letting people know, hey, I'm on this bench. I got nobody to play with. And then the idea is then kids see you on that bench, run over, grab you and say, hey, you're not by yourself. Come play with us. Kind of, anti-bullying, more or less. Yeah. A form of anti-bullying. The kid's not by themselves. They know people care about them and all that. So, that's an idea that I've tried every single year to implement in my school. It's just not happening. I'm not going to go out and paint the bench myself and get yelled at. I don't know. But it's, to me, that buddy bench changes things. It's like a starting point to where it lets everybody know, hey, you're not alone. If you sit in that bench, it doesn't make you a loser. I want you to know, if you sit on that bench, that's something that, that you're welcome to feel hey, I don't have a lot of friends and I want to sit here and maybe somebody will come grab me. Now, the opposite end of that is you have to make sure that you have people willing to grab that person and say, all right, come play with me.
Right. It sounds like it could also backfire and say, hey, loser, we saw you sitting on the buddy bench. Nobody came. You have no friends. It's a risk. It's true. But it just... it really depends. You almost have to have somebody there to be able to sit with them. And I don't think it's going to go over if it's a teacher, because then you get called teacher's pet. And then that just goes from there. So I like the idea. The execution, it's up to the kids again. Right. And how do you, and that's the thing with the whole bullying thing and why we focus on it about kids is because their minds are developing. Right. So we're adults. We get bullied here and there, but we don't think we react to it the same we ever would. I'm sure it's not fun, and I'm sure it's also just as wrong to me to bully an adult for any reason. For whatever it is, I agree with you. And I do also think people need to understand and get a clear idea of what bullying really is. You should know pretty hard if you're getting bullied. If someone disagrees with your opinion and says, I think this, look, if I say, Sean, I disagree with you, I think this, the opposite of what you think, that's what I think, and I believe that to be true. Okay, that's not bullying you. Some people think that's being bullied because they need their thoughts validated. God bless you. And that, but the thing is, if I said, okay, no, Sean, you're wrong. You're a stupid piece of shit. You're a dumbass. Hey, I'll tell you right now, I probably have done this in the past to somebody. I think maybe we all have in some fashion. We're not perfect people. And you know what? We could come on here and, people may be bullies at some point in their lives, and then they see the light in another sense, and then they come on and they become, if they see that, you got to give somebody the chance to rehabilitate themselves, because that's toxic in itself. I overuse the word toxic. I'm actually sick of it, but But to not give somebody who wants to reform their lives the option to do so, provided, especially if they've never really harmed you or damaged you that badly, that's counterproductive in itself. So you need to be able to learn how to talk to people and go that route. The kids, they don't have that there yet. I don't think they're mentally able. They're not mature enough to go ahead and do this kind of thing. Right. So it's tough.
And I mean, that's like, I'm sure people like, we'll get done with this episode. We'll post it. I'm sure people are like, oh, these fucking idiots again. You know what I mean? Like right away, you'll have people to themselves not coming out and saying anything, but you'll have people be like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to hear your bullshit. And that's fine. Like, okay, great.
But you know what, Sean? Let me interrupt you really quick. No offense. You're right 100%. But what I'm going to say is if you don't want to hear our bullshit, don't listen to it.
That's it. Right.
You can not kick play on this episode. You can block me on social media. You can block Sean. You could mute stuff. You can just delete the app. You know, we do it to ourselves. We download the app. We sign up for the account. We scroll. We comment. We engage, and we go. It's up to us, like we said before. But go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. My point in it was saying, like, now that we've grown, a lot of my friends know this. I will support my friends damn near blindly in any venture they have. I don't drink alcohol at all. We talked about it on the sobriety thing. If I buy beer, I only buy Maplewood beer because one of my best friends started the company. He runs the company. I only will buy Maplewood. I'm not out here, especially not buying Bud Light. Jesus. But
Jesus.
Come on. But yeah, I'm only buying Maplewood. That's it. And like I could not tell you what any of it tastes like. I was drinking it before they had their business when they were brewing it out of a basement. I know what that tasted like. Whether that translates to what they are now, I have no idea. I hear it's good, but I don't care. I'm just blindly supporting. And that's kind of like the idea with this, where it's like, instead of talking shit, like if you follow us on social media, why not just one day when you're fucking doing nothing, instead of listening to one of your murder podcasts, support friends, support the homies, support everybody. You'll see on my social media, at least probably once a week, I'm posting it and I'm just saying, hey, support the homies this, support the homies here, support the homies, whatever it is. I will retweet every single fucking thing Maplewood tweets damn near before I even read it or look at it. I just hit retweet. I don't care. Like, you don't have to be like, fuck these guys. These guys are fucking losers. What harm does it do to play this, take an hour of your time and listen to this or listen to that? You know what I mean? Like anything, just blind support. And that's what we're saying is that's like part of growing up. So that's part of the development shit that we're talking about.
And I think what happens is that it's what you're talking here is ego. You are administering very, very low to no ego when it comes to this. Somebody's ego will be upset. And it doesn't matter what it is. You may never want to be a beer brewer in your life, but if they're successful and you have a high ego and a lot of narcissism built inside of you, if you are one of those and have those characteristics, you're not going to share this shit because you aren't doing it. And you are almost inside a little bitter and jealous because of that. And that's what kind of can trigger bullying in some cases is jealousy and envy and an ego and all that kind of together. That'll help somebody bully somebody that's the insecurity. And it's just kind of how it all goes, and it just keeps going, and then it's just negativity and bullying somebody that's doing something for themselves that's good is the worst thing that you can do when it comes to this stuff, because you're not only going to do nothing, you're either going to go bully them so hard that they stop doing something that they love to do, provided it's ethical, and then what? Then you're left with what? Two people doing nothing. Two people just yelling and arguing and being less productive
and getting nowhere. You wasted an hour saying fuck this person instead of doing one thing to support them, spending $5 to support them, whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, instead of retweeting that thing, instead of promoting that thing, like whatever it is to help somebody that you know. If you follow us, you know us. What harm is it to just retweet it? What harm is it to follow us? What harm is it to listen? Any of it. If you follow us, you probably know who we are. So instead of saying fuck these idiots and ignoring us, just click play one time. And I also know that you don't drink. Again, not to plug them, but shout out Maplewood for doing a 420 event. They'll have grinders, they'll have papers. So I know, so just a little something for you there too.
Very interesting to hear. That's all good, man. You could plug away, man. We advertise for free here. We usually do no ads, but we'll plug our friends and whoever we need to. So So you know what, man, to kind of like get this thing going here, I know we had a few responses from social media, and also we're going to close it up with any final thoughts here. But I put some stuff out there, seeing if anybody wanted to share anything bullying related. It doesn't look like it was a little late when I threw it up there. So, and it's a touchy subject, so I can understand that. But how about you, Sean? You got anything from anybody particular that wanted to?
I had just one person just say how they were bullied so bad in school that the person that was bullying them finally got expelled, which is great. Here's the issue with that I have. Like, and it's one of the things that we say kind of about guns too. Like, yeah, great. They got expelled out of that school. Your issue in a way, like if I was bullying you and I got expelled, you're good, you're safe, but now I'm getting shipped off somewhere else. And now it's just a fresh batch of people to bully. Like now I'm just pulling up here and to establish dominance, I'm going to come in day one and just say, fuck you, fatso, to some kid, or you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, so that could be an issue there. So that's where it comes into, I don't know the solution. The solution is people have to stop being assholes. People have to stop being rude. And that's constantly, whenever I hear any little bit of bullying in school, that's the first thing I do. I sit the kid down and I say, what are you doing? Why are you being mean to this? You see this person every single day. The way I tell my kids is I say, look, you guys are a team. Like if we just take third grade, for example, third, fourth, and fifth grade are all on the same floor. They're on the second floor. We have 2 third grade classes. So I say, look, you want to look at it like this. Your third grade class, you guys are a team. You want to take it like that. You want to get a bigger team. Now you take the whole third grade. You guys are a bigger team. You want to make a bigger team. Now it's the third, fourth, and fifth. You guys have your whole floor. When you want to look at it even bigger, now it's the whole school. We are all in here every single day together. Wouldn't it be much better to be nicer to each other than to be assholes? Like, wouldn't it just make more sense to be nicer to each other than to, like, we're a family. We're here every single day together. I see these kids at my school more than I see my own kids. I tell them every day, like, guys, just be nice to each other. Our day will go so much smoother. Everybody's going to have a much better time. We'll get a lot more done. And you'll see school is a lot more fun to come to if you're not being assholes. That's all it is, man.
That's perfect, man. I like that a lot. And to give you my take, I think that's excellent because I think, like I said, with the gun issue we talked about before, it's not just one thing that needs to happen. It needs to be from multiple facets. So you got a teacher in the class trying to do what you're doing, getting everybody on the same page, being nice to each other, limiting the bullying from that aspect. 100% agreed. However, nothing's 100% foolproof. There will still be bullying, as you know. So what we need to do on the opposite end. So like you doing that is like diffusing the gun situation. Okay, no guns. Okay, that's fine. But for me, there's still going to be guns out there. So there's still going to be bullying out there. So what we need to do is defend that. We need to almost talk to our kids, the ones that we can reach, our own children, and prepare them and tell them you might run into some people who are going to suck, who are going to not like you, who are going to be mean to you. And we have to find a way. And I'm not there yet. I can't give you the rest parental advice, but I just try to tell my girls, I say, it's not you. Don't feel bad. If somebody says something mean to you, probably something is bothering them. That's just kind of where I'm at with it. My girls are pretty young right now. My youngest, I don't even do that yet because she's not even there. But my older one is starting to get to that age. She's going to be 9. So it's almost the defense side. You're using offense on your side by trying to get these guys, hey, come on, guys, let's be nice. That's great for the teachers. I think the teachers can do that. And I think the parents can play the defense side and sort of prepare their kids and say, look, we're going to all be nice to kids, treat people how you want to be treated, all those old cliches. But sometimes somebody's going to come along. And you know what? That's life. That's how it's going to be. Life is going to be that way as they grow up. And then to try to shelter it all and make it not happen, I get it. I still don't think that kids need to even be bullied to get ready for the real world because it's so traumatic to them at that age that I don't think it's worth preparing them for the world. I think you can tell them, look, there's going to be people that aren't nice, but I don't think kid got bullied at school. Good. That's cheap. Just toughen them up for the real world. I don't think that's the way to handle this. I think that's old school mentality. I don't think there's any thought behind that. I think you have to tell kids, look, this is the way it is. It's going to hurt. It might not feel good, but it's not you. Just do your best. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. So
I do the same thing. As a parent, my parent part is different than my teacher part. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It has to be.
As a parent, I do tell my kids that same exact thing. I'm like, look, you could be nice to everybody. You could be nice and should be nice to every single person, but people aren't always going to be nice to you.
Right.
It's how you handle it after that. If kids are shitty to you or somebody's mean to you, you just kind of got to brush it off and understand not everybody's going to be nice, but that's their problem. That's not yours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If they say something shitty to you, they're a mean person. They're just being mean. You stay on your path. You just keep being a nice person.
Mm-hmm.
You keep doing what you need to do to kind of just go about your life and you be nice. And, you know, part of it, what I think honestly feeds into it all, and this is a whole nother topic probably, but like the whole everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah.
That kind of shit. I think it softened us up. No kids know what it's like to lose these days. No kids
Mm-hmm.
know what it's like to be, you know, you might be the loser of that game. It doesn't make you an asshole. It doesn't make you pathetic. It doesn't make you a piece of shit. You just lost that time.
Right.
So work harder to not lose next time. You
Now
know
that
what I mean?
I agree with you. I think that's actually a good preparation for life because nobody truly gets hurt. Yes, you get a little sad because you lost. You get a little down because you lost. I remember when I was in 7th grade, my dad, I was on a volleyball team and our head coach couldn't make the game for that reason. So they had my father coach his only time ever coaching a volleyball team. And I was like, I got to win this game. We got to win this game for my dad. I said it to myself. And the final shot of the game came to me and I miffed it and we lost. And I felt like total fucking shit.
Yeah.
But you know, that was a healthy form of that didn't destroy me. I remember it. I was sad. I was upset. I was like, realized something in my life didn't go my way. Now I had to handle it, but I didn't have trauma over it. I'm not sad about it at all right now. My dad didn't give a fuck either. So no. I'm just saying, you know, like the bullying part of it that's deep. That goes deep and cuts deep. And people remember this. And people are in therapy right now, our age, who are still dealing with unresolved trauma within them that they couldn't process that age, that are dealing with it now at age 40, 30, 45, 50. And that's never been addressed. So that cuts pretty fucking deep. But we do need a good balance. And I think that always comes down to everything is just a good balance of teaching kids, hey, it's not going to always go your way. But hey, let's not fucking just emotionally murder people while we're 7, 8, 10, 12, 15. Fuck that, man. Like, just we'll do our best. We have to figure it out. I don't know. I don't think it's going to stop.
No, I don't either. It's, you know, because how do you stop it? You know
I mean, we all want to live in a utopia, man. I get it. I think that's the thing about humans. We all have these different views. We all have these different ideas. I don't think anybody wants to get shot. I don't think anybody wants to get bullied or see bullying. I don't think anybody wants to truly murder kids and babies and shit and all that the stuff that they argue about. I just think everybody wants everything peaceful and harmonic for themselves. But I think they just have different ways of getting there. Reality is not going to transition to what you want. To this utopia. We're just not built that way. We are not, human beings are not that. There's all it takes is 1 out of 8 billion people to show that there's evil in the world. There's no way. It's impossible. You can even eradicate half the human race and try to restart or some shit. It's not going to happen. There's going to be somebody else born that's going to have some trauma, that's going to act a certain way. We're not wired that way. Shit fucking happens.
Yeah. I mean, completely agree, man.
So, but you can just try your best to alleviate it, limit it, and do your best, I guess. So I don't know. It's frustrating because now, as you see kids our age, you and I have a kid about the same age too, that's starting to probably get to that age group that you've got to be a little concerned about it a bit. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, anyways, man, I thought it was a pretty good chat. Like we said, we didn't claim to come on here to give you guys any answers or ideas. Do you want to say anything before we wrap it up?
No, man. Just remember it going forward. Tell your kids in school, man, just be nice. Hopefully, I mean, all you could do is spread the word. Is if everybody just tries to get their kid to be nice, not be the asshole, and realize that the person who is doing the bullying, they're the mean one. They're the one that has the issue. It's not, you know, just because you have a hole in your shoes or your hair's not done the right way that person thinks it should be. Who fucking cares? Like, just do, you know, go about your life and not be the mean one. Don't be the mean kid. That's it.
Absolutely. Completely agree. And
or mean adults.
Yeah.
Or the mean adults, by the way. Like,
or mean adult. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of fucking mean adults out there, and a lot of them probably stem from being bullied or always being a bully. So
one more story real quick is I was
it.
at a parade because I was told this is bullying. We went to high school with a girl, and didn't see her for a long time, talked to her a little bit here and there every now and then, whatever. She's in a parade as a joke because I am somebody that does stuff like this. I booed the person as they came by in the parade. I have been told today, actually, that that's a form of bullying. So I guess if that's bullying, that's to me is the fine line, right? Where people know if you have a sense of humor, if you had there's a difference, but I might have hurt that person's feelings. So if that person's listening, I apologize for booing you at the parade. But ultimately, it's a joke. We're teasing. I don't hope that person gets hit by a car. I don't care what that person. I don't give a shit. I hope that person's happy and succeeding. But that's the fine line where it comes in between teasing and joking or being a complete asshole.
That's actually very valid what you said. And there is a lot of different levels of it. Someone can take a certain level of teasing or ribbing or whatever you want to call it, a little bit of just joking around. Some people can't take that same thing and they look at it. And that's the thing about life. Like you might, if you booed me and I was in a parade, I'd be like, oh, that's hilarious. Sean's fucking booing me. I'm sure there'd be many more with you, but, and that's kind of how I like it. But anyways, right. I'm fine with that. But like you said, somebody else ain't going to take it the same way. It
might have hurt their feelings. Yeah.
If I started
4 years ago, this was recent.
Right. If I started booing you at a parade, you say the same thing. But if I started booing my daughter, she'd probably be like, oh, why the fuck's my dad booing me? And then 30 years later, she's in a therapy session saying that her father was booing her on a float in a parade. So, it's just perception. And we're so individuals. We're such individuals. Our brains can't grasp how individual we all are. Right. And social media is the king of generalizing people in these large groups with brushes. So if you're affiliated with the group, whatever it is, religion, politics, race, this is where it all stems. They generalize you and make you out to just associate with everyone else within the group when you're all just fucking individuals with different senses of humor, different levels of sensitivity, different backgrounds, PTSDs, and all that other bullshit. You can't joke. You got to know if you're going to joke, you got to know the person can take it. Otherwise, I'd say, yeah, I guess it's bullying. So for me, if the person you booed at that thing knew you were joking, laughing about it, but the woman next to you didn't know anything about your relationship, she was perceiving you now as a bully when you're just having a good time with your friend up in the float.
Exactly.
So it's just, there's too many, dude. We could be here for days talking about the different scenarios. And that's why nothing gets done, because there's not one big answer. So Just like anything else. So anyways, we're going to close it up. Sean, thanks, man, for being here. Anything else?
Man. No, we're good, man. Always here. Whenever you have me, I'm happy to be on.
Oh yeah, we'll do more for sure. You know that. So, anyways, if you want to reach Sean, he's on Twitter. He's on Instagram at No Left One. That's at NOLEFT and the number 1. Correct?
Yep, that's it.
I did it right. Okay, and then for me, I'm on the same toxic platforms we just talked about, and there I am using that word again: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. At MFS Wellness. You can drop me an email Mike@mfswellness.com. So until we do another episode, thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you then.